I'm a really big fan of Ridley Scott. He's one of my favourite filmmakers. When he's on form, when he's at the top of his game, he's pretty hard to beat. He's put out a lot of movies over the years. He isn't someone who kind of messes about for 10 years trying to develop the technology to make his next film. He gets on with it. He's got his next project lined up. That does result occasionally in the odd misfire or the odd film that's a bit underwhelming given his talents. You kind of wish that sometimes he would take a bit more time and really kind of wait for that right project. I've seen all of his movies now. 1492, Conquest of Paradise. This is a film from 1992. It was the last film on his CV that I needed to watch to complete his filmography, and I've done it. It's probably the one film on his filmography that least interested me for whatever reason, which is why it's taken so long to get to. Which is a shame, because it's actually a pretty good film. It's one of them movies with a pretty poor score on things like IMDb, Letterboxd, so that's another thing that maybe put me off. A lot of people say it's quite dull, quite boring, a bit laborious. I disagree, to be honest. So we've got Gerard Depardieu, that star of French cinema, playing Christopher Columbus. And this is really all about that discovery of America, the discovery of the New World, so to speak. So, for those who didn't realise, Christopher Columbus never actually discovered America because he never got to the mainland. He established the fact that there was land out there. So the fact is, nobody else would have gone after him had he not made that first trip. The poor guy, got suckered out of being able to call America Columbus land or whatever. It's an interesting piece of history because obviously America is like most powerful country in the world. Just learning how it was discovered and how people first settled there and just how dangerous it was and really how wacky a notion it is to just go there when you knew, because this is in a time when they didn't know if land was there or whether you were just going to drop off the edge of the world. It was there's a lot of people who's still clinging on to the world is flat. You're a nut job if you think you're going to go and find anything out there. So just how revolutionary a thing this was for a man to put a crew together and just blindly go out there was quite something. And I think the film does a really good job of capturing that, of capturing the awe, the mystery, the wonder, the dangers. I'm not a huge history buff, so I can't tell you just how accurate they get Christopher Columbus here. I read a few things online after watching the film because I was interested in just how accurate they were. And to be quite honest, that didn't help because I found a lot of people talking about how it was historically inaccurate and Columbus was a bit of an arse, he was a slave owner and this, that and the other. And then on the other side of things, I've read a load of arguments about how, given the context of his day in which everyone was a slave owner, he was actually one of the people who was pretty decent. So who knows? I think history gets rewritten as time goes on and we can never really know the truth, I don't think. But this is a film which tells a story, which gives us a central character that I find quite engaging. This is a man who sacrifices really everything in his life for the pursuit of this discovery that he wishes to make, and the continuance of it. Like, it never ends. When you have obsession, it never ends. Once you achieve what you are looking for, it really just leads into the next step of that obsession. So this is a man who really ended up sacrificing time with his family, seeing his kids grow up and develop for the sake of being out on the ocean, looking for this thing that he might never have found. He did find it, and when he got there, it wasn't all kind of, roses and there was a lot of carnage. There was a lot, they had to deal with the indigenous people, build relations. They had people within his own team that were making great efforts to scupper what he was trying to do there, and it's just, yeah, so it's quite a violent film as well at times, more violent than I was anticipating, to be quite honest. This is like, what, a year, 3 years before Braveheart, so this is a pretty good precursor to Braveheart in the realm of battle sequences. You know, Scott really doesn't hold back in many respects. There's a lot of bloodletting going on. It makes me think that I'm glad I didn't live there, to be honest. I'm glad I didn't live in that time where perhaps I might have been called up to go and yeah, investigate these kind of things, because I'm a wuss at the end of the day. This does not look like my idea of a good time, but people did it, you know, pioneers, people who, America exists now the way that it does, for better or worse, because of Columbus having the guts, having the balls to say, you know, I think there's something out there and I'm willing to stake my life on it. It's a very interesting film that is obviously, given it's a Ridley Scott film, visually stunning. It's got some real beautiful visuals. The production design on it's really great. I feel like we are transported back through time, which is what you want to feel like when you're watching a historical epic. I think it's very well directed. Sigourney Weaver is in this as well. She plays the Queen of Spain, and I like her scenes. She's not in this much. She's peppered throughout the film in small but pivotal scenes, and I really like the stuff between her and Columbus. They kind of, there's a spark between them, not a romantic spark, which is something I like as well. The fact that they can have this relationship between this man and this woman that doesn't have to be romantically involved. There's a respect there. There's a mutual respect. I think it's Ridley Scott on fine form. I think it's a very underrated movie. I think that you should really give it a go if you've not seen it. And it has one of the best soundtracks of the period from Vangelis. This is a guy who worked with Ridley Scott previously on Blade Runner, did the soundtrack to Blade Runner. And here he does some real iconic sounding stuff in this, some epic sounding stuff. Still got that synth vibe that Vangelis always has, but it's a lot more epic compared to a lot of the stuff I've heard from him. Probably my favourite soundtrack that I've heard from him, to be honest. If you have seen 1492 Conquest of Paradise, do let me know what you think about it down in the comments. Thank you for watching this video, and until next time, cracking.